Welcome back to the Sports Authority. Local12.com digital editor and columnist Richard Skinner is here, and it's 2 wins in a row for the first time since 2018 for the Bengals. The first road win since September 30th
This
of 2018.
knocked out a bunch of those barriers.
Yeah, 37-31 over Houston, and I guess we'll start with Brandon Allen. He had an amazing game. 29 of 37, 371 yards, 2 touchdowns, near perfect.
I can't remember a whole lot of inaccurate throws. About the only one was a bad decision to A.J. Green on the 4th and 2 play where they were 5 wide. He tried to hit A.J. up the sideline. I think the very play after that he tried to throw one and it got tipped away.
Right.
Other than that, his decision-making was great. His accuracy was great. I thought they got him off to a nice start with the screen game. And they figured out ways to attack different parts of the field at different times. The outsides at times, down the seam to Alex Erickson at a time. He's playing for something too. I mean, he's a free agent. He's talked about wanting to come back. I think he's comfortable in a backup role. I can't imagine anybody gives him a starting role at any point other than a circumstance like this. So good for him. He made a little bit of money today probably.
Do you think that the Bengals look at keeping him on?
I think you almost have to. Listen, if you're building for the playoffs, you better have a quarterback that can come in if your main guy gets hurt and win. Perfect world, Joe Burrow starts every game for the rest of his career. It ain't a perfect world. We both know that. Every quarterback gets hurt. Hopefully this for Joe is the last time he gets hurt significantly. So you better have somebody capable. And I don't think Brandon played poorly the first few starts. I think some of it, that Cowboys game was so weird. None of that was him. That was all three different fumbles by 3 different guys.
Great drives.
Great drives.
Ended
in fumbles. So I would have liked to have seen some of that. But today, we may get to this. Houston's not very good. They're missing a bunch of guys. It's not the J.J. Watt you remember, I remember. He's not the same guy. He doesn't have anybody around him really that's any good. But still, hey, if you throw for 5 or you get 540 yards on air, you've done something offensively. And to throw for what he did today, he was great.
Especially where this team has been. And T. Higgins continuing his fantastic rookie campaign. He's pretty much second in all categories among rookies behind Justin Jefferson of the Vikings.
Yeah, he's been great. And he's got a chance to set some franchise records. But he's got a tough challenge coming up this week with that. So I think he gets his 2 catches to get over the hump, right?
Yeah. I mean, Baltimore obviously with a lot to play for in Week 17. But it's nice to kind of know, with all of the uncertainty surrounding this team, that the Bengals hit on a guy who could be their franchise receiver for years to come. Yeah,
I don't know if he's a WR1, and I hate to be fantasy football guy with that. I think he's really, really good. I think we even talked about this last week. I think he and Tyler Boyd are kind of the same guy. Different ways they do things, but it feels like they're kind of a 2 and a 2A. And maybe I'm looking at the 1 as the guy that takes the top off the defense, and they just don't have that, right? I'd love to see if they had that guy, what Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins could do underneath that. I mean, you could have 3 1,000-yard receivers, for goodness sakes. I mean, those guys are so good in possession-type stuff. That said, you're right. They absolutely hit a home run with the kid. I mean, he's about to break Chris Collinsworth's records as a rookie, and I can harken back to Chris's rookie year, and Chris was a difference maker on a team that went to the Super Bowl.
Right.
I mean, Chris was a huge draft pick, and actually they drafted David Verser in the first round ahead of Chris. Chris was a second-round guy. I think back, I'm like, those numbers were gaudy. And now, today's day and age, it's a little bit different, but he's in that stratosphere, and he's been great.
The Bengals now, it looks as if with the Carolina win over Washington, that they are going to pick 5th. That's where they're slotted right now. And, the Bengals at this point are sort of damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Right.
Everyone is saying, why can't this team figure out a way to get wins? And then they string a couple together and everyone's saying, why is this team winning? I guess I just don't understand when God sort of came down in a Zoom call and anointed Sewell of Oregon, the guy that's going to fix this Bengals offensive line.
That's a legit point. I can't guarantee that. You can't guarantee that. And the fans that are clamoring for Penei Sewell can't guarantee that. Listen, offensive linemen, rookies are a crapshoot. We've seen that before. He may be great. I can't tell you he's not going to be. I can't guarantee you he's going to be either. So I heard somebody as I was driving in tonight that said, if you win games, somehow good things happen to you. I mean, you just don't go out and tank. Players aren't tanking. Coaches aren't tanking. It's just not how anybody's wired. You don't do that kind of stuff. And if you do, then shame on you for doing it, because then you're asking for trouble. I mean, remember last year, the Bengals weren't tanking. Miami wasn't tanking. the Chargers weren't tanking, and guess what all of them did? They kind of wound up with the guy that maybe they were all supposed to get,
right.
Burrow to Herbert. And if it hadn't happened that way, it probably would have been a different way of Herbert here, Tua there, Tua here, Herbert there. Listen, I'm not knocking Penei Sewell. I am not an offensive line guru. I'm not Jim McNally by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm of the ilk that says if you want to improve your offensive line, you better do it with guys that have NFL tape.
And let's put it this way: if the Bengals fail to improve their offensive line come next season, it won't be because
they don't draft Penei Sewell,
right?
Or
they have other ways to get this done.
How about a crazy stat for you? I got a crazy stat for you. Do you know what the Bengals are in the last 2 years with Fred Johnson starting at tackle?
I do not.
This is incredible to me. They're 4-0 in games that Fred Johnson has started either left tackle or right tackle. And I remember he had the disastrous right guard start.
Sure.
A couple right guard starts. They tried him there. It didn't work. That's pretty good in a span
it's
where
like
you've
the
only
Gio
won.
Bernard stat if he gets 25 carries.
Well, but you can force feed, in theory, the 25 carries. It never works out that way, obviously. But Fred Johnson, I mean, is he an answer? So if he's an answer, and Jonah Williams is an answer, and Quentin Spain might be an answer, and Xavier Su'a-Filo might be an answer, maybe you don't need a whole lot of help. I'm probably wrong on that. Trust me, I probably am. I want another veteran presence on that offensive front. But I think you maybe have found something in Fred Johnson as a tackle. I don't know if it's a left tackle long term, sliding to the Bobby Hart spot, and Jonah Williams back to the other spot. Maybe we got something. But 4-0 is 4-0 for a team that hasn't won but 6 games in 2 years. He's been in 4 of those winners.
I do want to touch on the J.J. Watt comments that he made after the game. He was very impassioned and basically was sort of addressing his teammates saying, you've got to show up. People are paying money, their hard-earned money to watch us play one way or the other. And this is just, even though we're not having the year we wanted, he kind of put everybody on his team on notice. And he was basically invisible today.
Yeah.
Are you okay with him kind of doing that after the game?
Yes, because he has cachet. And on a team that's not very good, Bengals, if they're smart, aren't letting him beat you. You're going to double him. You're going to chip him. You're going to run away from him. And I thought they did a lot of those kind of things. And I think he's probably right. I think you were on the post-game Zoom, if I saw, and you probably heard a couple of questions that were asked about that. Remember, Friday was cold as all get out on Christmas Day, right? It was so cold. I remember walking outside myself to go to my daughter's. I'm like, holy cow, I didn't realize it was this cold. And they practiced that day. We didn't think of it. We're all going to Christmas. We don't really, this team right now is kind of an afterthought. And those guys practice, and that was kind of a theme of how did that 10-degree Christmas practice went. And I thought Alex Erickson was great of, listen, you know what? It's kind of what you got to do.
8 sweatshirts.
8 sweatshirts and 3 hats and,
yeah.
And showing up for your teammate and your teammate showing up for you. And it sounds hokey until you see today. And that probably happened. And for J.J. Watt, it's probably, I think I tweeted out early in the game, Jed, the Texans don't look like they want to be here. And I don't think they did early on. Then it was like, all right, now we're in a football game. Let's go play. Will Jackson gets hurt. It affected, I think, the Bengals defense. But no, I got no problem with that because, again, he's got cachet, and if if people are running away from you and they're doubling you, you have no chance, then somebody else. Listen, let's do the math. It's 11 on 11, right? If 2 are blocking 1, that suddenly makes it 10 on 9, and the quarterback doesn't count, it's 10 on 8, and you still can't make stops, then good for him.
Yeah. Okay. Richard Skinner, all of his work on our website, local12.com, including the Skinny podcast. Thanks, Skinny.
You bet.
We'll be right back.